I'm sure some sort of Jungian collective unconscious will guide us.
Great.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
We're starting with 1. Not 0, but 1.
All right.
And then integers through 5.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, it's the Cloister Room, and welcome to it. I am Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
All right, okay, podcast, it's time.
But no, I pretty much started watching Doctor Who in early 2008, kind of as a result of you just talking about it all the time. Not all the time, but, you know, enough.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
In fairness, it was a lot of time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so I've been, I would say, a fan since 2008. Series 4 was the first series I actually watched as it aired. I don't know, and I think probably my favorite Doctor Who story would be Silence in the Library, just because I really like that one. The two-parter.
That is a good one. Yeah, so I became a Doctor Who fan in, I guess, 2007, which was shortly before Series 3 began. And the way I got into it was because I was a huge fan of, like, the Douglas Adams books, and people would talk about this thing he had worked on called Doctor Who. And so in combination with that, I was hearing a lot of really good buzz about how the new series was, so I just started watching various episodes of the new and classic series, and it sort of took off from there.
Aha.
Yeah, and I would have to say my favorite Doctor Who story, it's probably Blink, which is not a very original answer. Although, maybe Midnight, because I really like Midnight.
Midnight was very good.
And my favorite Doctor is probably the 11th Doctor.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Previously, my favorite had been the 3rd Doctor.
Previously, my favorite had been David Tennant.
Oh, so you just pick whichever guy's current, right?
Yeah, I'm not very faithful.
Wait, let me guess. When you were first watching it, your favorite was the 9th Doctor.
In all fairness, I did actually start... I was watching episodes out of order when I first started watching them. I was watching them as they aired on BBC America.
Oh, really?
Yes, so, like, my first Doctor really was the 10th, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, I think that I probably saw a good number of 10th Doctor stories, and then shortly before... Series 4 was to start, I actually started watching from 2005 onward. So, yeah, I wasn't exposed to the 9th Doctor until I'd already become a fan, essentially.
Ah, I see. Well, I did not know that.
Now you know.
And now I know.
Do you have any theories on to whom the voice belongs who says silence will fall?
Well, I've heard people say... Davros?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think entirely new character.
Okay.
I think it was a major feature of the Russell T Davies era that every sort of big finale or big event story was the bringing back of something from the classic series. So I feel like, okay, this whole bringing someone back, that's played out. And so that's why we didn't do that in Series 5. That's why Stephen Moffat had this whole different take on it, where the finale wasn't revolving around a returning villain.
Huh. You know, personally, I have no real reason to believe this. I have nothing to support this at all. I just think that until proved otherwise, I think it's Jenny.
What?
Dead serious. I think it's Jenny. I don't know. Like, I don't think that sounds like her voice. I think that there's some sort of voice modulator thing. It's doable. It's definitely doable.
Why?
Because, and she's not it's not threatening though. It's a warning.
I don't know.
I'm dead serious. I am dead serious. Until proven otherwise, that's what I'm thinking.
The one thing in favor of that is the fact that apparently the original script for The Doctor's Daughter had ended with her death, and it was Stephen Moffat's idea to leave her alive.
I am well aware of this, which is pretty much the only reason I suspect this.
It seems like he wants to do something with the character.
That's pretty much the only reason I feel this way, but I stand by it.
Okay. Well, why not, like, Sally Sparrow? It's Sally Sparrow.
Okay. In all seriousness, though, you know, they made a big deal about the TARDIS being drawn off course to, June 26th. And, you know, Jenny's already done that once at her creation. You know, she drew the TARDIS into, you know, whatever year that was. So I think, you know, it's not without precedent. I'll say.
Okay, sure.
I am sticking to this.
Yeah, you're wrong. Yeah, you're wrong.
Well, you know what? I don't care until proven otherwise. That's what I'm sticking to that. You'll see. I'm going to be right. And you know what? Everyone's going to be like, "Wow, Lewis knew. How do you know?" And no, I don't expect that to happen. I expect to be completely wrong, but I just feel like it would be really funny if it were.
We should plot our stories based upon the fact that it would be funny. This is how we write good, gripping, character-based drama.
I think so. I mean, you can tell this is why I'm not a writer, but you know, that's what I would like if that happened. If I saw that happen on screen, I'd be like, okay, I would be all right with it. I mean, you know, I'm sure everyone else would hate it, but I'd be like, okay, this is cool.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Fine. I have nothing to say to this. I just don't have anything to say.
All right, I have left you speechless.
I mean, I feel like now the only thing I can say to respond to this is to come up with an even more bizarre and implausible theory.
All right.
But I can't. I can't think of a more bizarre and implausible theory. I'm like, how about the meddling monk? No, that is entirely plausible. Why not the meddling monk? How about the master of the land of fiction? Or, no, how about, it's Nider from Genesis of the Daleks. It's Nider.
Okay. I think we should move on.
No, it makes sense. Because people say it's Davros, but it's clearly not Davros. So who else could it be? His right-hand man.
I regret saying anything.
And you know what? That's what this podcast is really about. I bring you on board so that I can have someone to talk to and to make you regret saying things.
All right. Now I understand my purpose. Okay. That's good.
Yes. It's all about regret.
Isn't it always?
God, how long has it been since the finale of Series 5?
Over a month.
Wow.
Well, it depends on where you were watching it, but...
I was watching it at my house.
Well, I meant, depending on... Yeah, never mind. I'm not even going to bother.
So, wow, I didn't realize it had even been that long. I think it might have recently aired in BBC America.
Yes, I think that's what I was actually trying to say, just not very competently.
Okay, well, you meant geographically, not philosophically.
Yes, I think it just aired a few weeks back, actually.
I see. So, by now, pretty much the whole world has probably seen all of Series 5.
Well, at least the part of the world that cares about Doctor Who.
No, I'm going to say everybody. I'm going to say everyone has seen Doctor Who Series 5.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not spoiling anything for any region.
Not for any region that matters.
Okay, so Series 5, in my opinion, probably the strongest series in a while. I don't want to say it was the strongest series since the new series began, because I'm a huge fan of Series 1 with Christopher Eccleston, and that is sort of on a pedestal for me. So I don't know if this tops that, but it comes darn near close for me.
That's interesting. I mean, I liked some episodes in Series 1. I don't know. I don't have that same affection, I guess, for Series 1. I really liked this season a lot. Mm-hmm. I would say it's quite possibly my favorite.
Uh-huh.
I guess with the exception of maybe like Vampires in Venice, I think I liked every single episode.
Oh, you didn't like Vampires in Venice?
I didn't. Not really. It had its moments.
Well, I'd say it had a few moments. I'd say it was roughly 42 minutes, in fact.
Actually, wasn't it a bit longer?
I don't remember.
I seem to remember being like 46. I don't know. That doesn't even matter.
I know the early episodes in the series were actually running a little bit short, aside from the 11th hour, which was, well, an hour. But yes. I know the second, third, and maybe even fourth and fifth episodes were running under the usual running time, but I thought Vampires in Venice, if nothing else, it was a very pretty episode. I think the location filming was very nice looking. And the CG was not very nice looking, especially in that horrible sequence when he's climbing on top of that steeple, or whatever it was. And I also like Rory, so it was good to see him back.
Yeah. I think at that point I was still kind of warming up to Rory.
Yes?
Yeah, I don't think I really liked him all that much off the bat, if I recall. I really like him now, but it took me a while to get to that point.
Yeah, I actually, by this point, by the current moment, I now like Rory more than I like Amy. I kind of soured on Amy later in the season because they kind of treat her as though she's a complex character, when I think, in fact, she's just a badly written one. And sometimes it can be a little bit hard to tell the difference between those two. I just happen to think it's the latter.
I don't know. I don't have very strong feelings for Amy. I think she's...
Well, I kind of have strong feelings for her. I mean, she's a lovely woman, Karen Gillan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to shut up now.
All right. So, Matt Smith, though.
I think he's great.
Yeah, I think sometimes, like, especially in the case of The Lodger, it went a little bit closer to the Doctor comedy hour than I might have preferred, but even then it was still very enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm going to agree with that.
Are there... I haven't really heard from very many people who strongly dislike Matt Smith.
Yeah, I mean...
Even on the Twitters.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what people could possibly dislike about him. I mean, I guess, I don't know. But I really like him. I don't know.
Well, he's not David Tennant.
Well, okay, fair enough.
And I mean, there are some people who are just going to dislike him because he's not David Tennant.
Well, that's most certainly true.
But I bet there were some people who disliked Patrick Troughton just because he wasn't William Hartnell. Which he wasn't.
Well, yes. Clearly.
One of the things that I've been hearing, it's sort of a non-story that has been circulating around like tabloids and stuff, is that Stephen Moffat is not happy with Matt Smith and wants to sack him and bring in the, what's his name, the gentleman who plays Sherlock Holmes.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
Well, no, probably not really. It's probably just a tabloid.
Well, no, I mean, I'm even surprised that that's a rumor, because I actually have an article that I read a while back. I happen to have it right here. It looks like it's an interview with not Matt Smith, Stephen Moffat. And it's just like, it ends with, wouldn't Benedict Cumberbatch make an ideal Doctor Who? And then Moffat replies, there is no vacancy. Matt Smith is the Doctor, and he's been an astonishing success, and who knows, maybe he'll never regenerate again.
Oh, so that means he definitely is getting rid of Matt Smith. Well, that proves it.
They better not. I mean, that's all I have to say, really. They better not.
I would be happy to watch Matt Smith for another 10 years. I might not feel that way in a couple years, but that's how I feel right now.
See, the thing is, we just lost David Tennant. We didn't lose David Tennant, but, David Tennant just left.
No, he's dead.
He's completely, yeah, I can't take that kind of heartbreak again. I don't want the Doctor to regenerate again. Ever. I don't know.
When David Tennant regenerated, I was sad to see him go. Although, at the same time, I felt like I didn't feel like I needed to watch him for another year. And when Matt Smith stepped on screen, I was excited to see what he was going to do. So, okay, why are we talking about Matt Smith leaving? Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. This is a very depressing subject.
What I was going to say is that I'd be happy to see Matt Smith break the Tom Baker record.
Oh, yeah.
Although, I remember hearing that Colin Baker once said it was his intention to break the Tom Baker record, and he got fired after 3 years, during which there were only 2 seasons. So, I mean... So
let's hope that Matt Smith doesn't imply that he ever wants to do that.
Right. It's like the Titanic. They call it unsinkable. And then...
10 episodes on Stars?
Oh, you didn't know about this?
I wasn't really following it.
Well, what happened was, for Series 4, they wanted to seek a co-funding deal with a U.S. network, so that they could get budget and do something bigger. So they went to Fox turned them down, and then they went to Starz, and Starz said yes.
Okay.
It's not an American remake.
Okay, last I heard of it was Fox turned it down, and I hadn't heard anything since. All right, I'm just behind. Okay.
So things we know about it. It's going to be on Starz, which means it has the capacity to be all sexy and violent and things. Which Russell T Davies likes. He is, in fact, in charge of it. It's being written in a very American writer's room kind of way, instead of each person writing their own scripts, and then Russell rewriting their scripts for them, which is how Doctor Who was written when he was in charge. I don't know if Stephen Moffat still does that, but in any case, yeah, so the writers involved include John Fay, who wrote an episode of Children of Earth, Jane Espenson, who did Battlestar Caprica, Buffy. I think she also did Warehouse 13, or at least for the pilot.
Wow.
And it's going to be a 10-episode series. It's going to have Jack and Gwen, and other than that, it's going to be in continuity, but it's supposed to be sort of, if you've never seen Torchwood before, then this is the perfect point to start.
Aha. Okay.
Which is kind of how Children of Earth was.
Yeah. Children of Earth is the only thing I've seen of Torchwood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. This sounds exciting to me. I don't get stars, but I'll find a way to see it.
I honestly, I don't really watch cable all that much. I mean, I watch a lot of network TV, but I don't really watch a whole lot of cable. I guess I get stars. I don't even know. I mean, there's never... I don't even know what Stars has. I don't even know what they have to offer. I guess now they have to offer Torchwood, but I didn't know.
Well, they have this show that's big now called Spartacus Blood and Sand.
Okay.
It's a historical Romy thing, which apparently involves a lot of violence and boobs.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that pretty much covers all the bases.
Yeah.
Everything the television viewer could possibly want.
Well, strong language. I don't know if it's in there, but it probably is. They probably cuss up a storm.
In Latin, perhaps?
Man, I hope so.
That'd be awesome. It'd be like in Firefly, where they're swearing, Cantonese or whatever?
I think it's Mandarin. I don't know.
Mandarin, yeah. I don't know these things.
Well, neither do I. Well, one of the things that was wrong, in my opinion, with the first series of Torchwood especially, was that it was often very adult for the sake of being adult. Just had all sorts of sexy, sweary things in it. And I think Torchwood really came into its own when it sort of backed off from that.
I actually have seen a clip from I don't know what season of Torchwood, but it was Captain Jack and Captain John making out, and that was about it.
That's series 2.
Okay, cool. Now I know.
And Captain John being James Marsters from Buffy.
Right.
And also now from Caprica.
Ah, yes. Caprica, that's I keep on forgetting to watch the finale or whatever. I haven't done that. It's been months.
Well, get on it, because Caprica's coming back really soon.
Oh, is it?
Not really. Oh. No, it's coming back in January.
Well, it's relatively. I mean, as opposed to maybe 5 years. That's relatively.
Well, I mean, it was produced as one season, so I don't really understand why they're taking this long of a break. Yeah, what we've seen so far is the first half of season 1, and then there's the second half of season 1. So yeah,
maybe they just like airing it in the winter.
Maybe they just like that.
They want.
It's nice.
They want the harsh, cold reality of the cold metal of the Cylons. I don't know.
You did see Inception, right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Once, twice, 3 times?
Only once, sadly.
Yeah, I have seen it twice. Both times I really enjoyed it, although the second time someone I was with really, really disliked it.
I have a question. Did you stay to the end? Not the end of the movie, but the end of the credits?
After the credits?
Well, did you stay did you stay through the credits?
No, is there something there?
Well, this is a third-hand rumor, I heard, that if you stay, and I guess this is going to be a spoiler, if you stay to the very end, you hear the top fall.
No.
That's what I heard.
Really?
That's a rumor that I heard. I don't know. I don't even know if I really believe it or want to believe it. I don't like it really much, but...
No. Louis, you don't need to live like this. You can check on the internet. The internet will tell us. I'm Googling it now, because I need to know if this is true.
Actually, yeah, I don't even know why I didn't think to.
Actually, Google isn't really helping, because people are talking about it, but there's no, I can't really find any confirmation. Okay, so assuming everyone who is listening to this has seen Inception, one of the big questions at the end is whether Cobb is still dreaming at the end of the movie, or whether he has woken up and his happy ending is real. I feel like I prefer the ambiguity there.
I do too.
If you think that he's still dreaming, then I think the questions become, okay, then is the entire movie a dream? Or is he just stuck in the dream after failing to get out of limbo? Or, one theory I actually heard There's a point in the movie where Cobb is gathering all these people for the mission.
Yeah.
And so he goes to whatever country he goes to, I forget where, and he meets the chemist that he needs, who's going to give him the sedatives and the chemicals that you need to sustain like the 3-level dream. Mm-hmm. And this guy takes him to like this underground place where this old man has a bunch of people on beds and they're all hooked into these machines. Yeah. And he says, this is the only way they can dream. Dreaming is their reality. Who are you to say that there's a difference between dreams and reality, right? Mm-hmm. So then Cobb says, I need to test this stuff out. So they put him under, and then he wakes up, and he says, okay, this is the good stuff. This is what we're going to use. I believe that's what happens.
Right.
One of the theories I've heard is that at that point, he never wakes up after that.
Uh-huh.
And that the rest of the movie is just his dream.
Right.
During that point.
Right, because if I recall correctly, after that... Is it after that he tries to spin the top, then he's interrupted?
Yes, after that point, the top is never once seen to fall.
Yeah. I would say that's possible. I actually read... I don't know, I was reading some page of rumors, and someone suggested that the whole thing was a dream, and that like when the top falls or something like that, it was that it's possible that maybe the top would fall if you were in like a deep enough dream and you didn't I don't know. Overall, it seemed to throw into question whether or not the top falling was a definite sign of it being a dream or reality, and I think that's kind of dumb.
Well, I mean, that could still be a lie, because if everything is a dream, then that whole rule is part of the dream, and therefore isn't real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then at that point, I think that's just kind of silly to take it that far.
Yeah, because, I mean, then any movie could just be a dream.
Right. What is it, Tommy Westfall? Let's not even get into that.
So overall, you liked the movie a lot?
I did.
As did I. It reminded me a little bit of... It actually seemed a little bit Stephen Moffat-y to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
I felt like what Christopher Nolan was doing with dreams is kind of similar to what Stephen Moffat does with time. Like, he builds this sort of multi-layered puzzle of timey-wimey, but instead it's dreamy-weemy.
Yeah, I like that. Dreamy-weemy, huh.
How about Sherlock, which we mentioned already?
Sherlock. Yeah. I really liked the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think the first episode was really strong, and the second episode was not as good, but still pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel like, because what happened was I ended up watching the first episode on like a Saturday, and then I watched the second episode on a Sunday. So it was like back-to-back, kind of. And at that point, I was sort of... I feel like if there had been more time between the 2 episodes, I would have liked the second episode better. But because I just got done watching the first episode and how great that was, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, this is more of the same sort of stuff. I still liked the second episode, I just didn't like it as much. But yeah, I am excited to see the third episode, which airs tonight, right? Is it airing right now? No, when is it airing?
No, it's going to be airing within like a couple of hours of when we're recording, but in a different part of the world.
Ah, yes. Well, that happens.
So yeah, I mean, the series was co-created by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, both of whom are...
Gatiss, yes!
What?
I'm sorry. I was incredibly happy there. I'm terrible at like pronouncing things correctly.
Uh-huh.
And I just completely guessed that that's how you pronounce his name. No, actually, my first guess was Gatiss, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm always wrong, so I bet it's pronounced a different way. So I pronounced it Gatiss, and alright, I'm so happy I was right.
You know what this means?
What does it mean?
It means you win, Lewis.
I win? What do I win?
I don't know. You win a new episode of Sherlock! Woo!
Yay!
Okay, so it was co-created by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, both of whom are Doctor Who writers, and I think Stephen Moffat is probably the better Doctor Who writer. I'm not a huge fan of the Gatiss-penned episodes of Doctor Who, although he's a fine actor. I thought he was very good in The Lazarus Experiment when he played Lazarus. He's also in Sherlock.
I found that a bit strange. I liked the part he played. I thought he did a good job with that. What episodes of Doctor Who did he write? Did Mark Gatiss write?
I think he wrote The Unquiet Dead. The Unquiet Dead is a fine episode. It's just not one of my favorites. And Victory of the Daleks... I wasn't a huge fan of Victory of the Daleks.
I think that a lot of the things I liked about that episode revolved around the Daleks saying things they wouldn't normally say. But I think that's something generally everyone liked about it, so I don't feel too original thinking that.
I feel like the episode also gets a lot of bad press because a lot of people really, really dislike the Dalek redesign. Whereas I'm sort of meh on it, but I'm not going to cry. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess my point is that the first episode was written by Stephen Moffat, and the third episode is written by Mark Gatiss, and the second episode is written by someone else. I don't remember who. So that might be why it's not as good as the first episode, and I'm hoping the third episode will involve a sort of return to form.
Yeah, I'd like to think that would be the case.
Yeah. So I'm quite looking forward to it. I think Cumberbatch does a really good job in the role, and I also really like Martin Freeman as Watson. That's a difficult character to do well, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think he does it very well. And I mean, like, I haven't really even seen him in all that much. I know that he was in the British version of The Office, right?
Yes, he played Tim, who in the US version is known as Jim.
Right, that's what I thought. Yeah, I've only seen a few episodes of The British Office, but yeah. So I haven't really seen him in much, but yeah, I really like him in this.
He's also in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, which isn't particularly good, but he's fine in it.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, you know what? I completely forgot about that, because I just watched that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't, wow. I don't know, I just feel really bad now. Like, my brain is wrong.
Anyhow, I thought Martin Freeman did very well in that, and so he does very well in Sherlock as well.
Indeed.
I just used the word "well" quite a few times.
Yeah, so I'm excited for tonight's episode.
Yeah, which people will probably have seen by the time they listen to this podcast, assuming anyone ever listens to this podcast.
We can always hope. Can't you track that? Can't you track that on your website?
I can track the statistics on my site, and I do track the statistics of who downloads the podcast. I track it almost obsessively. People are still downloading the podcast, even though I haven't put out a new episode in a couple of months. And I don't know why. But I don't know that they're listening to it. All I know is that they're downloading.
They're just internet pack rats. They just like downloading things from the internet.
Well, you know, there are a lot of podcasts that I subscribe to and download every episode of and think, oh, I'll listen to this eventually, but I never get around to it. And then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to this. So I delete it. It could be that several hundred people have done that for previous episodes of The Cloister Room, all of which are now considered non-canon, by the way. This is now episode 1 of The Cloister Room.
All right, then.
And very confusingly, the episode on canon is now considered non-canon.
Huh. Well, that's going to keep me up at night.
And that's what this podcast is really all about.
Keeping you up at night. That's good to know. Right. Oh, yes. I was saying that I watched the finale twice, but it was a long time ago. Like, I watched it, and then I watched it again, and that was it.
Yeah, I only watched it once. I made the decision that what I was going to do was watch it once, and then wait for the DVD box set to come out, and then I'd watch the entire season once through, and then I'd sort of stop watching Lost for a while.
And you adhered to that goal, I guess?
Well, the DVD box set has not come out yet.
Well, you've adhered to it so far?
Well, yeah, so far, yeah, I only watched the finale once. I actually rewatched the ending scene a couple times just because I wanted to see it again, but I haven't watched the episode all the way through more than once.
Yeah. I think it would actually be good to see the whole... Because, from my perspective, I watched, the first 5 seasons, episode right after episode, and I think that it was weird transitioning into season 6, where I was watching an episode 1 week at a time. But I think it would be good if I were to sit down and watch season 6 all over again, because it was very confusing. I mean, there's the thing with Dogen and all the Lennon and all those people. I don't even know. It's very confusing. I don't remember.
I think personally I'm not likely to watch the series all the way through again, at least for a couple of years, because to be honest, I think by the end of it, even though I really enjoyed the ending, I sort of had Lost fatigue. And I mean, have you seen the quote unquote epilogue?
No, I haven't.
It's a DVD feature which purports to give quote unquote answers to quote unquote questions, and it leaked onto the internet a couple days ago. It's called The New Man in Charge, and you can probably find it on YouTube or something. But it's a 12-minute, I guess you could call it a mini episode, although it doesn't really have much of a story. It's mostly just a narrative pretext for giving out answers.
Aha, I see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. But I think that for the most part, I really liked how the season ended. I mean, how the whole series ended. And I mean, like, I wouldn't even say... I mean, I would say I would agree with you in some respects with how you're... I felt like I was sort of done with Lost once I'd seen the finale. I was kind of like, all right, this is good. It was, I was satisfied with all the answers we'd been given, and the answers we hadn't been given, I really didn't care about that much anymore. So I think that for the most part, I think I was kind of done with it, in a sense.
Yeah, that is how I feel. But I also, I liked how in the end it was mostly focused on sort of the characters and getting closure on them rather than closure on the mysteries. But one thing I wasn't too sure I liked a lot was that at the end, it really didn't have anything to do with the mystery of the island. Not even the mystery of the island, but the island. Lost always had like a really great sense of place, and everything was centered around this one place, the island. But in the end, when we finally find out the explanation for the flash sideways, and I guess this is a spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched Lost, when we find out that it's this sort of other life that these characters have after they die, it really doesn't have anything to do with the island, and I feel like that sort of makes it doesn't necessarily connect to what we had seen before in the previous 5 seasons, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do understand that. That's actually something I hadn't thought to look at it that way, which is kind of interesting, because I guess, I don't know, I didn't really reflect on this too heavily, but it was not necessarily something that happened to them as a result of being on the island, I guess. Because in theory, that sort of afterlife sort of thing could have happened to anyone. Yeah,
it's implied that the reason they have this chance to meet each other and move on is not because of the island. It's because of their sort of series of relationships that they had throughout that period of time. And I guess it's implied that other people who didn't go to magical islands also get to do this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't quite thought to look at it that way.
So I'm guessing that people who are listening to this podcast, many of them probably have not seen Lost and don't really understand what we're talking about. But I feel like perhaps now is the time to sort of convince anyone listening that Lost is a show that they should watch. Would you agree that this is a worthy goal to do right now?
I would say so, yes. And I think, certainly I would... I think it's better to watch it all, as quickly as possible as opposed to one per week. Because I think that really just sort of... Yeah, I didn't like that. I liked it much more when I was watching him, like a marathon.
Yeah, I would agree.
So yes, I would say, now is a great time to do it, and do it as a marathon. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, and I think, I'm guessing most people who are listening to this podcast are Doctor Who fans, and I mean, if you enjoy Doctor Who, you may also enjoy Lost, because it also involves weird time travel-y things and some other vaguely sci-fi concepts. But, overall, the shows are not really at all similar. So I don't know. It may be that you would hate Lost. But, I find it really hard to imagine someone really hating Lost.
Yeah, I would... I don't think... That would take a... I don't think I would want to meet that kind of individual, like on the street or anything. Anyone who would dislike Lost to a high degree, I don't think we could be friends. I think.
Although a lot of people did become jaded with it by the end, because what they expected from the ending of Lost was answers to the mysteries, and it became clear at a certain point that answers to the mysteries were not at all what the creators were interested in giving people.
Yeah, it's certainly. Certainly through season 6, I think I got to the point where it's like, all right, fine, we're not going to get any answers, or we're not going to get all the answers we want. Though I think the finale did a pretty decent job for giving at least some answers.
It gave answers. It also raised a few questions, but more than giving answers, it sort of showed us what's at the heart of the island and what's really at stake.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the most important answer it could have given.
Yeah.
And that's what this podcast is really about. Denying people answers. So next week, we're going to be talking about An Unearthly Child, by which I mean just that episode, the first episode of Doctor Who. And if you have the DVD of An Unearthly Child, then we're talking about the real one, not the unaired pilot version. So are you going to be able to watch this for next week, Lewis?
Oh, yes, most certainly.
Okay, because you darn well better, because I sure will, and we're going to say things about it.
All right.
But after that... We're going to watch another first Doctor story, and then the week after that we're going to watch a second Doctor story, and the week after that we're going to watch a third Doctor story, and so on until the 11th Doctor.
All right.
Which story we'll be watching every week, though, will not be up to us, Lewis.
It won't?
it'll be up to them.
Oh, okay.
So I would like anyone who is listening to this to vote on which First Doctor story other than An Unearthly Child we should watch, and they can vote by commenting on the post for this podcast at www.thecloisterroom.com, or by giving us an @reply on Twitter at the Cloister Room. Next week when we record, we'll tally up the votes and decide which First Doctor story we're going to watch, and it's going to be all kinds of fun.
Sounds like.
If people would like to give feedback to this podcast, then please do. I would greatly appreciate it, and I may or may not decide that we are going to read some on air. You can send feedback to thecloisterroom@gmail.com. There was another email address that I used to use, but I had technical difficulties with it. So you can follow The Cloister Room on Twitter at The Cloister Room, and you can follow me on Twitter at T. Dickinson. And you can follow Lewis on Twitter. Tell them where they can follow you on Twitter, Lewis.
You can follow me on Twitter at, it's actually a bit strange, but it's Miles Belly, although you could pronounce it Miles Belly. It's fine. MILESBELLI. You know, it's complicated, but once you follow me, you know, you won't have to worry about it ever again. So, just throwing that out there.
And, you know, in fact, once they follow you, they won't have to worry about anything ever again. I mean, you follow him and you're taken care of.
You know what? You never have to, you know what? Just don't even worry about anything. I'll take care of it all.
All right.
It's a little creepy, actually.
Yeah. A little bit. Is there anything else we need to say, you think, Lewis?
I think it's all been said.
I think we've said all that needs saying for now.
For now.
Come back next week when we'll probably say some entirely different things.
Yeah, and probably some things we've said before and just forgotten.
We'll probably just repeat most of what we said this week next week.
Yeah, you know, we got to reuse some of this. Save budget.
We can keep doing it every week until we really perfect it.
Yeah.
And then we can move on and do something else. Anyhow, so I guess that is the end of this podcast.
All right.
So I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Lewis Midas.
And we'll see you next week. Or you'll hear us next week.
Something like that.